Welcome to episode 2. Last week you saw a video on me submerging myself in ice cold water 3 times. A little bit different method each time so I could study and share the effects that I experience more afterwards. You also saw how to get back onto the surface of the ice and back to safety, along with a list of all the things I'm learning as I go. This video is all about the experience afterwards, after falling into ice cold water 3 times. But also in the video last week, I got dry immediately, went to a warm house with robe, hot coffee, hot soup, very ideal conditions. And you'd be surprised how messed up I was. How long did the after effects last? More than 2 days. We are revamping the Piked Antler Project. We got men's classes coming up every single month and women's classes, and also a 4-day reset program later on in the year. Come, reset, get into the wild, take a break from reality, and just get back into nature while learning some real-world survival skills. To find out more, go to the website, pikedantlerproject.com, and download your free ebook. And now is the best time for that ebook because it's based on wintertime medicine, things you can go experiment and find right now. Or just shoot me an email at info@pikedantler.com. Let me know you're interested in learning more about the classes, and I'll let you know. This is Will White with the Piked Antler Survival School.
Now that we're 25 minutes out, you're in a dry environment, warmer environment. Tell them what you're feeling.
And big cup of warm coffee. Downside of coffee, it's a vasoconstrictor, so it actually decreases the blood flow. It can make you colder faster, believe it or not. But if you're shivering, that means your core temperature is kind of in jeopardy a little bit. So I don't care that it's going to vasoconstrict. It's getting my organs, my insides a little warmer. But my legs are still freaking freezing cold. I'm still feeling like the last bit of the shivers dissipate, but I can feel my body fighting, shivering. I don't know why. I should just let it shiver. I feel like crying. Don't cry. Like, don't shiver. It makes you weak. I don't know.
Can you feel, have you started to feel where you cut yourself underneath your knee?
No.
Okay. I think that becomes another warning thing for your audience that says, hey, when you do get stripped down and you're building your fire, you're trying to dry your clothes, try to check your body for other trauma that maybe need to address. The fact that it was a minor scrape just becomes illustrative. So if you were outside where it's like 23 degrees right now, trying to do this with just a fire and maybe not a good shelter, it's going to last longer and it's going to be even harder to overcome.
Yeah, and I'm going to get a lot colder, a lot faster. Yeah, the cold is going to seep in. I feel like the cold is actually still seeping in from being in. I think that's what's causing the shivers now. I'm actually shivering more all of a sudden. But yeah, I think the being in so long, like it's kind of started like seeping into my deeper and deeper and deeper. Now that I'm out, I feel like it's still just like heat. Burning yourself, cool it immediately. Otherwise, it's still actually penetrating the skin. So I feel like that's what's going on. It's still permeating and getting a little deeper into my core.
Is the key to keep moving? I mean, is that going to be important for you? Do you look for shelter and fire first, or if you can't do that, do you try to keep moving?
I always think stuff like that is kind of like a fist fight. You can have a plan, and then like, oh crap, this guy's a boxer. He's better than me. All right, I got to go to the ground. Oh, no shoot. You always like change angle. So on a day like today, like no breeze, steady temperature, I wouldn't worry about shelter. But with high winds, that'd be my first thing. It's like that radiating heat and the convection is going to suck the heat out like immediately. So high wind day, I'd say shelter and fire. Today, I would say I keep moving and work on that fire. Even if I were saturated, like as I'm moving, that little bit of body heat is going to heat my clothing a little bit. That water is still going to hold some heat from my body. So I'm actually help. I don't want to go find out. I feel like if I had that layer of warm water around me, might be good. I did a video on this a couple years ago on just, if you fall in the water, what to do. And I was daylight today. I was just in my underwear and boots, just making fire with my buddy and just moving around. Wasn't that bad, I think, because I was just moving and moving and moving.
Yeah. We always call that situation dependent, But
there's no right answer. Always right answer.
Because you're always dealing with a different set of variables. Will talked about in one of the segments that if you would not want to cross the body of water fully clothed unless it really was an emergency, and then you find yourself in this situation. Well, at that point, you've compounded whatever emergency you were dealing with to begin with.
This is like very fascinating. Colder now than I was down there. Yeah, I guess you're submerged long enough, it just
And actually, your body, your core is going down.
Yeah. It's like, oh. Yeah, it's not like what I've read or seen, like at all.
Still got the shivers?
Yeah, they just actually kicked in as soon as I stood up.
Throw them in the sauna.
Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of trying to experience like the long-term effect, because it's fucking been at least
Is it
30.
stinging at all?
No, the inside of my torso feels like that's where it's cold, not so much my skin, which is scary because it's
Because that's your core.
yeah.
You being in there, it would take you longer to set in because you're a bigger guy than me. So
In theory, yeah. But also circulation plays a role. I don't have great circulation, so yeah, you're leaner than I am, but you know, if you got great circulation,
the body just starts warming itself up.
yeah. Definitely consume a lot of caffeine and nicotine. I dip, and those were like faster than restrictors.
Spoke about for this.
For sure. Yeah. Which is why I started doing cold water immersion. Part of it, like see if I could undo some of that.
You know, if you're in this kind of environment for 15 to 20 minutes and you're still dealing with the impacts, then how would you have felt if you were still outside?
Yeah.
I mean, it would be compounded for sure.
Yeah, I'm putting myself in that mind space. Like I can feel the panic for sure. 'Cause even right now, like I'm not scared, like a little bit of nervousness. Like, damn, why am I so cold? Is something wrong? You know, just that little bit of mind game. But yeah, being out in the elements. Yeah, that's a test in the whole process. Because the next to go from like I got in the water, saturated to I'm safe, dry, and warm. We're talking potentially like 2 days. And as I'm thawing out, I'm just like, why does my elbow hurt? So there's another. I just now felt.
Yeah.
And I guess that's coming out of the ice or falling in. Yeah, so I guess my arms were pretty numb tight just now.
An hour after, in a heated environment, having had, you know, warm coffee and warm soup, how are you feeling?
Cold.
Still.
Yeah. The hot soup definitely slowed the shivers, but 5 minutes after I was done eating, they're back. My feet are still ice cold. I got socks on and slippers on carpet, heated room. I got a t-shirt, sweater, or hoodie, and robe, thick pair of pants. Yeah, and I'm still still pretty uncomfortable, to be honest. Yeah. But I think if I had spent more time, I guess moving, I would have built up, kind of re-stimulated, reignited that core temperature.
Sure, yeah.
So I think that would have made a big difference. Just move. But then again, moving like that, can't feel your extremities, the odds of injury are significantly higher.
Yeah.
And that's something I recommend doing if you do fall in. Like, don't just check for blood, check your toes, check your feet. Is everything where it belongs? If you dislocated anything, I mean, there's a good chance I could dislocate a toe, probably not even feel it. Look down and be like, oh, that doesn't look right. And then, walk in and cause more injury. So that's a big point, is the assessment afterwards. Like, check yourself. Just check head to toe real quick. Am I bleeding? Do all my extremities work? And you may have to just visually watch your extremities. Like, I can, wiggle my fingers, but maybe I can't feel it. So you may need to just actually look at everything. Okay, can I touch? Great. Are my toes moving? Sweet. Mm-hmm.
What would you recommend, in your priorities of work? What would you have somebody want to start, doing or looking for or checking?
The STOP acronym: sit down, think, observe, and plan. Basically, stop, look around. What resources do we have? And thinking about how my feet are still cold, even though they're insulated. I'm thinking my next step, once I have fire, I'm like I said, stable. Like, all right, I want to take care of my feet. So I'm gonna look for cedar or pine and just start ripping boughs down as many as I can, put them on the ground, so now I have some insulation. And when I wanna, sit down by the fire, dry my feet, and I can actually have something to sit on. I can lose heat through conduction. If I put my hands on something colder than my hands, over time, whatever temperature I started at is gonna average with whatever temperature the surface is. So if I lay or sit down directly on the snow, if I say the snow is at 20 degrees, I'm at 98, we'll say 100, it's not gonna take long before that heat leaves my body, creeps up throughout the rest of my body, averaging 60 degrees. Then X amount of time, my body's gonna be at 60 degrees. I'm hypothermic way before that point.
Is it a significant difference that you're feeling now than an hour after your ice bath normally?
No, absolutely. Yeah, I think, I'm really happy the idea came up to do it without clothes. That's usually how we do it. Usually I do my cold dips, start naked, like nothing. As soon as I get out, dry off, put my robe on, I'm good. It's no big deal. I think the biggest proponent to keeping me cold was that one, accumulation, but a lot of it is that last sit, being in there for 3, 4, 5 minutes, however long it was, and then having a few minutes to try to like get out of that. Like my body's just absorbing more and more fluids, more and more water. So now I'm like wet. Dry and cold, like, you know, -5 in Colorado is not nearly as bad as -5 here, where it's, you know, a lot more moisture. Same with heat. So yeah, I think just being saturated with water for probably upwards of 7 minutes, I think that had the biggest contribution to keeping me cold. I think if I were to fall on the ice, like really fall on the ice accidentally now, I would have to fight like genuine like psychological breakdown, like sheer terror and panic. Because again, I'm in very ideal conditions right now. I'm in a house, well dressed, well fed, good company. So to stay out in the elements, holy shit, man, that's terrifying.
That happens to you out in the wilderness. What's your first thing? Do you strip down? I mean, what do you suggest people do?
I wouldn't. I'm thinking that little bit of that
Barrier?
heat, barrier, because that radiating heat from our body is going to warm that little layer of water directly close to us, and water holds heat better than air does. So you're kind of, and plus it's wicking into your clothes. You have this barrier that's going to actually hold heat. So based on how I'm feeling right now, no, I would say
Keep it on.
keep it on, unless you have to change of clothes. I think all the training is like, all right, strip them down as quick as possible, get them into dry clothes. Like, dude, I'm hunting. 10 miles in the woods. I'm not bringing an extra, 30 pounds of cold weather gear. Yeah. So no, I would say, no, keep the clothes on for sure. Because as soon as you take your layer off, any heat you have stored up is completely gone. And to get it back, when you put cold, frozen clothes on, because hypothermia is basically your body. So basically, your body's cooling faster than you can warm it. So if you take off all your heat, take off all your clothes, and then put cold, wet clothes back on, you're just like, you're killing yourself.
Yeah.
So I'll keep it on.
Between your feet and head are the two things where you lose the most heat to begin with. I think getting your socks changed and your feet warm and your head covered would be critical at that point. And because the other clothes you can maybe dry through the fire and everything else and buy you time, but the quicker that you can take care of your feet and your head, I think will make a big difference in this kind of environment.
Yeah, absolutely. When my head hit the water, that's actually a bit painful. I spent a lot of time in the woods when it's cold, and having this little extra layer of insulation is always helpful. But the catch is the exchange is if it gets wet, it's going to keep you cold. If you keep it dry, it can help keep you warm. Future reference, something I would have definitely tried to do, keep my head out of the water. For the video, I intentionally submerged myself to get the full experience and so you can kind of see worst case scenario. But if I felt myself falling into the water, like I'm going to be swimming, kicking my feet before they even hit the water. Ideally, I'm trying to swim up to prevent myself from completely submerging. If I keep my head dry, that changes the situation positively quite a bit. Hunger. Okay. I usually eat 3 times a day. Had a good breakfast, got in the water 3 times, had a big bowl of soup, came home, had 2 eggs, 4 pieces of sausage, and 2 pancakes. Within 45 minutes, I am really hungry again. And that matters because in a real world setting, after you deal with the actual cold, getting your clothes dry, avoiding frost nip and frostbite, all these things that you got to take care of, your body just went through a tremendous amount of effort keeping itself warm. Shivering burns massive amounts of calories. So it's got to be replenished. So even though I've had 2 pretty good meals after getting in the water, and I'm hungry half an hour, 45 minutes after the second meal, that's alarming. In a real setting, knowing I'm going to be colder a lot longer, moving a lot more, working on fire, some sort of, wind block or shelter, keep my feet dry. There's a lot of stuff I'd still be moving now. I'd still be moving, honestly, for the next 36 hours, trying to stay warm and get my clothes dry. That's pretty big deal, because as your body depletes those calories, it's more of a struggle to keep yourself warm, your body to keep itself warm. So it's already cold, it's already wet, you're exhausting more energy, and you're not replenishing it. And it's just getting more and more energy expenditure because you're still in the cold. This is like compounding, man. The long-term effect of this, not even long-term, I'm talking like 48 hours. There's a lot to consider. It's not as simple as, oh, you fell in the water, here's how you get out. This is part of the rest of the situation that you really need to know about. But now you do. So good for you for watching. Maybe 5 hours later, I am spanked. It's very clear how much energy my body has spent today just dealing with the cold water immersion, several minutes of it. So I want to add this to the level of importance because the fatigue is real. And you already know the situation. Yeah, I'm just imagining if this were real world, now I know ahead of time, like I'm going to be exhausted just from, the immersion and getting out, assuming you're in the water for a couple minutes. Ideally you're in and you're out, but still it's going to tax your body quite a bit and you're going to feel it. On top of everything you have to do afterwards to get dry, get warm, get some sort of insulation on the ground so you can, not freeze your feet or your butt off. It's a lot. I'm whooped. So now you know, it's not just how to get out, it's how to anticipate and how to deal with what's coming next. It's really important. All right. And the key is just to stay alive as long as you can, because you never know when help is right around the corner.